So there seems to be a lot of confusion these days about what masculinity and what femininity is. And to put it very simply, masculinity is the ability to control the environment effectively, and femininity is the admiration of that quality. So, a man who builds a bridge, that engineers and designs a bridge, and those who built the bridge, you know, that type of control of the environment is an example of masculinity. An example of femininity is that which admires that piece of construction. So a woman, who drives and appreciates that, is being feminine. Now, obviously there's a lot of, exceptions. There are examples of women obviously controlling the environment. And as a man, you can admire, something that was engineered. So there is a bit of crossover. There's obviously, as a man, you can act masculine, but you also might have some feminine traits. Neither one of those are bad things. Masculinity and femininity are not bad traits to have. They're actually virtues, and they're both important. There's no sense in doing something of value if you don't reflect on that value. And that's, like I said, the feminine trait. So, there's a couple of points I want to make. As far as being masculine, the thing that's most fundamental is having your faculties intact, because you can't control the environment, or you can't do it as effectively if your mind and your body is not capable of doing that. So, if you're terminally ill or you're physically handicapped, because of those reasons, you may not be as masculine. Also, what the contents you have in your head, specifically critical thinking. If you're able to think critically, you can empower yourself, you can control the environment better, and that's more masculine. So, aside of having your faculties intact, the next essential, or I guess you could say, like the next rung of fundamental trait of masculinity is critical thinking. Because if you can effectively think and you can process information, that reflects on what you do around you as well. It's also a feminine trait, because if you can think critically and you can think clearly, if you can see the clear connection between something over here, some external stimulus, and how it affects yourself, if you can see that clearly, you can then recognize value, and you can admire that value. You can admire that which controls the environment. So rationality is not just a masculine trait, it's also a feminine trait as well. All right, so the next point I want to bring up is, obviously, the male and the female brain is shaped differently. And as a result of that, sensations are perceived differently. Your perceptions are different. And that's a direct physiological result of the fact that a man's brain and a woman's brain are literally shaped and wired differently. It does not, however, affect a person's ability to grasp abstract concepts. So a woman doesn't physically feel things either by sensation or by emotion. Their automatic reactions are different than a man's. However, something abstract like a smartphone, it doesn't matter if you have a male or a female brain, this is a smartphone, which is the reason why women, despite the brains obviously being shaped differently and are geared towards something different, are able to make intellectual advancements. So you look at, for example, Marie Curie. You think of, what's that female economist? I forgot her name. Ayn Rand, philosopher. You got Martha Stewart, which had, a good business sense. So that's why women are capable of doing things like that if they apply themselves. Being a woman doesn't make her any less able to grasp these abstractions. So that's another common misconception that I see. You know, people have this thing where they think of everything black and white, and they're not relating directly to experience. Your ideas don't mean anything if you don't validate them with your observations. But anyway, so in a very simple sense, this is what masculinity and femininity is. There are differences in the brain. They do make a difference in sensations and perceptions, but not a difference in abstract concepts. So there you have it.